Hello everyone, it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at a few tarot and oracle decks that came into my collection. Now there's one of them that is completely new. I have not seen it anywhere. It has just been released and I have to say it was in one of my wish list videos, so I'm really excited about it. Let's have a look. So here we go. It's the Mystic Psyche Tarot by Emily Balivet. This is a mass market deck. It has been released by Rockpool literally yesterday and it's arrived on the same day. And so let's have a look, because I remember talking about this deck in one of my wishlist videos, and I was saying that I was a bit hesitant because from the examples that we were given of the cards, I wasn't able to tell whether it was a peepish deck when it comes to the minors or not. So this is going to be a surprise, and I just don't want to, raise my hopes too high, because just in case it is a peepish deck. But so far that I recall, Rockpool has never published a peepish deck. So I could be wrong, and I don't have all of the tarots that has been published by Rockpool. But as far as I recall, there's no peepish deck. Or maybe one, the goddess, the mother goddess tarot, something like that. But I'm not entirely sure. In any case, let's have a look at this one, because I really look forward to it. The majors are absolutely amazing. So as always, this is a very beautiful box. These embossing with the letters here. There's foil as well here, gloss. I don't know if you can see that. In here, the motifs around the edges of the box. It's a two-part box, obviously. And let me just zoom in, because we definitely want to see the cards properly. So this image is really stunning. I have to say it's probably this one and another couple of images that they were sharing about the majors, where the cards that actually convinced me to get this deck. And also the fact that, Australia, so Rockpool is an Australian company. When it comes to releases, they actually follow the Northern Hemisphere. So you would have known, for example, when you were buying the Season of the Witch Oracles, they were always reflecting, at the time of release, it was always reflecting the season in the Northern Hemisphere, not in the Southern Hemisphere. But what we do have, and I'm very grateful to Rockpool for that, is that they actually let us buy their decks at a lower price. And it's probably also because of, all of the shipping costs involved that are obviously lower whenever they're shipped within the same country. So this is a larger book, I will have to say, very glossy in the cover. And so I'm just gonna have a very quick look, because I really want this to be a surprise video. So I'm going to share with you my reactions when I'm going to see the cards. There is this high expectations about going through the minors and see if they are scenic or not. So I don't want to see them here in the guidebook, but what I will share and what I will show you is what we've got. So in the contents, we got the introduction, of course. Then we got the how to use the cards. There's a couple of spreads as well, then the major and the minors, and about the author. I'm just going to double check at page 5 the tarot spreads, because I'm always very interested to know if it's just the usual 3-card spreads of the Celtic Cross. It's not that interesting to me, because they're not specific for this deck. But when there is something that is actually reflecting the theme of the deck, for example, then that's interesting to me. Okay, never mind. We see the 1-card spread, the 3-card spread, and the Celtic Cross. And it doesn't look like there's any other specific spread. It doesn't really matter. It's not a deal breaker or anything. It's just that I really appreciate when the author of the guidebook thinks of the deck as a unique way to use tarot, a unique tool to approach in a different way, and so they come up with specific spreads. So we're going to have a look at the guidebook later, because I really want to go have a look at the cards now. And I have to say, well done, Rockpool, because this is super sturdy. This will never cave in. Unlike many decks, especially indie decks, sometimes this internal sleeve is very flimsy and it will cave in. This one there is no chance that it will. So let me just take out the belly band, obviously, here. And we see already that there's a really nice matte gold gilding. Let me just show you. You can see here. This is really beautiful. When it comes to quality, let me tell you something. This kind of matte gilding, I don't know if it will stand the test of time, because I do have quality decks, really expensive, even indie decks, with this type of gilding, and it really depends on what they've done, what kind of inks they used, because sometimes they will chip, sometimes they won't. So I will be curious to see that as well. Let me just zoom in even further. Okay. So cardstock is really good, very sturdy, but at the same time, excellent bounce. It feels like, at first impression, it feels like these borders have been chopped, have been cut a little bit too close to the internal frame, but it doesn't really matter, because you know, I had a phase in my life in which I was trimming everything. So knowing myself, I would have actually looked at this and thought, okay, I'm just gonna trim this golden one outside just to have the frame, but I'm not gonna do it. It's also because it takes quite some time and I really don't have it. Very busy, very, very busy. Really love all the decorations in here. It's gonna be difficult for me to show you because I don't know if you can tell here, there's a lot of decorations on the waves, for example, but also we can see that on the sky here and on the rock here. So RWS, obviously, as we can see, really beautiful magician as well. And this one is slightly glued to the other, so the High Priestess and the Empress. Really beautiful. You know what? It reminds me of the decoration that you can find in the Blood Moon Tarot by Sam Guai. Not that it's not the same colors and it's not exactly the same art style. But it does, if you think about the Blood Moon Tarot, which by the way is coming out mass market in about a month's time or maybe 6 weeks time. If you think about that deck and you imagine and you recall the way in which all of the parts in the shade, in the shadow, were actually decorated like this. This is very similar. So very busy images, very busy cards. I love this Lovers card. Really, really beautiful. My goodness, it's such an amazing card. It's really gorgeous. I love the contrast with the colors as well. Then the Chariot and the Strength. Really gorgeous Hermit as well. Wheel of Fortune. Justice. As you can see, I'm actually struggling to separate them, but it's one of those decks that once you do it once you're done with it, then it's not going to glue back up. The cards are not going to be sticking one to the other ever again. So it's just the first time you just have to do it. I love this. Okay, let me just talk a little bit about the Hang One or the Hangman. As you can see, we've got the runes, runic symbols, runic letters. And that makes sense because the way in which I look at the Hanged One or the Hangman, it does remind me of Odin and the nine nights and 9 days in which he's been hanged from Yggdrasil, the tree of knowledge. And thanks to his sacrifice after 9 nights and 9 days, he was given the gift of wisdom through the use of runic symbols and runic letters. So I really like this. I haven't had a look at the guidebook, so I don't know whether this is indeed the reference. But because I always remind myself of that reference, I'm actually quite happy that I can see it here. The Death card is so beautiful, my goodness. Very much, again, Norse or Celtic lore in this one as well. As you know, the death as in making this transition into a different world. Really, really intense, very beautiful. It almost gives me Six of Swords vibe. Wow. And the Temperance card. Beautiful devil as well. Tower. And the star card, of course, and we can see that is indeed. I wasn't sure, but it looked to me like it was the star card when I saw the picture, the drawing on the cover, and it is indeed the star card. Really nice. The moon with the three faces and the three faces, so really, really, really deep. The sun. Judgment, another really stunning this card. Absolutely stunning. And I love the fact that this to me feels like a neutral card. So whenever I think of the Judgment, I do think of a neutral card, because the fact that we will be faced with our life's decision and everything that we've done in our lives. And of course there will be ups and downs. But to me, that needs to stay neutral. It is not a revenge card. It is not, for example, there is a deck. And I spent a couple of weeks trying and understanding why the Judgment card would have been depicted in that way. So it was basically someone walking the plank, literally walking the plank. You know, in a pirate ship, when someone is, I don't know, a traitor or something, and they want to get rid of them, they tie them, and then they make them walk the plank, and then this person will die, because obviously they will fall into the sea, but they cannot swim because their hands are tied. So the Judgment card depicted that way, to me, it's too negative. I would prefer to see my Judgment card as at least neutral, not necessarily positive, but at least neutral. And what I can tell here, because I can see the sky, but I can also see this red, this deep red that may be pointing to hell. So, you know, it's it really depends on what you've done, because when Judgment Day comes, you will have the possibility to either ascend to heaven or go down to hell. So I really like this depiction. The World card, the World card was one of the cards that was actually available as a sample in the listing. And here we go. I am really nervous. Okay, keeping our fingers crossed. I have to say, so far, I really like this deck. Please, please don't be lazy peeps. Okay, the Ace of Cups, beautiful, with the dove, absolutely. Okay, that is really a good sign. So we've got two people with the Two of Cups, very traditional symbology, like it very much. And again, fully scenic with the Three of Cups, really beautiful. Phew, okay, so far it's all fully scenic. So we got the Four of Cups and the Five of Cups, yeah, beautiful. And the Six of Cups, and okay, I can still kind of work with it, I guess. So it shows me the road paved and flanked by cups. How does that remind me of nostalgia, or thinking back at the time in which things were simpler back then and not as complicated as life has become recently? I'm not entirely sure. I will have to go to the guidebook. And now that we know about these cards, by the way, these are the backs, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. I really love them. Let me just quickly go to the Six of Cups, because I really want to understand whether there is at least an attempt to to justify this image as opposed to a fully scenic one that we're used to see in a RWS. So, symbolism, the Six of Cups represents nostalgia, sentimentality, blissful childhood memories, and reconnecting with the past marked by carefree innocence. So far so good, but that's just a description. Six golden cups line a path through a colorful forest, symbolizing a journey into the past, okay, and the warm feelings it evokes within the imagination. The cups reflect the idealized memories, a sense of wholeness, and the guileless emotions and impressions experienced during childhood. The dreamy forest path serves as a reminder of the wonder of the psyche and the healing magic of memories, inviting the inner child to reflect on the simplicity of the past. I think I'm okay with that. You know, sometimes, and I'm not this deck, but come on, we've seen it happening time and again when, you know, there's a lazy peep and then you go to the guidebook and there's this really beautiful explanation and you feel like you're being tricked. because you think, okay, the explanation is really beautiful and I get it, but isn't it, wouldn't it be better to have a scenic minor as well? Now, if it's a Marseille deck, of course it will be a pip deck because that's what Marseille is. But if you start the suit of cups with 4 or 5 cards that are fully scenic, and not just fully scenic, but actually reflect and mirror the RWS symbology and the scenes in the RWS, you need a valid reason. You need to give me a valid reason to get away from that for the 6 of cups or the 7 of cups and so on and so forth. I'm still okay with this. So I do see the 6 as transitioning, as movement. So I'm okay with it. The path that leads to the forest and the cups that represent the memories from when you were a child and with no complication of a carefree life. I get it. But let's move on. Let's see, because I don't know, I'm reserving my judgment. The jury's still out. And then 7 of cups, okay, there's a lot of things to be chosen here. Is it still not fully scenic, I would say, but still I can get on board with that. The 8 of cups, yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's this character that is turning their back to these cups. There's something broken, they're leaving it behind, and it's an effort, but they need to move on to something different. Fine. The 9 of cups, okay, yeah, there is still a figure here. Maybe the way in which the character is looking towards the frame, that would give me the possibility to read directionality when we got 2 or 3 cards in a row. So 10 of cups, absolutely gorgeous, really, really gorgeous. I love it with all of the planetary symbols here. I don't know if you can tell, these are planetary symbols. The rainbow, everyone is dancing, really beautiful. See, it doesn't have to be 100% an RWS clone, but that's what I don't understand. So why choosing a 6 of cups out of the entire suit to deviate, to step away from the symbology of the RWS? Let's see, because I have a feeling that there's going to be other cards like that. So the Page of Cups, Knight, Queen of Cups, really beautiful, and the King. And then this is the Suit of Wands. By the way, really gorgeous colors. I think you can see that through the lens as well. This is really faithful in the reproduction of the colors. I'm not using any kind of filter. So this is really, really as beautiful as it looks. The Two of Wands, to me, that is slightly pippish. Let's just see. Okay, the 3 of Wands is also pippish, and the 4 of Wands is also pippish. Can you tell by the tone of my voice going down that I'm going, ooh. Why do we have a Suit of Cups, which is actually really beautiful, with I would say 13 cards out of 14 fully illustrated except for 1, but I would still be on board with that 6 of cups. And then you move on to the Suit of Wands, and this is what you see. I get it, the fire, yeah, fantastic, yeah, it's the Suit of Fire. And in the 5 of Wands, you can see that as a reason for competition and misalignment of intentions, and there's this really fiery energy. I get it, but why do I have to do some mental gymnastics in order to be able to recognize this 5 of Wands? When we've got the 4 of Wands, yeah, okay, really nice, because there's all of these flowers, absolutely fine, that could point to a ceremony. And when we look at the traditional symbology of the 4 of Wands, we do see the let's say the decoration with flowers from one to the other, fine. But the 3 of Wands, okay, maybe with the direction of the wands going towards the star. But you see that I'm actually not struggling. I can always talk about a card, it's okay. But I don't want to have to do that. So either you choose to be a pippish deck, and these, by the way, these are pips, but they're beautiful. They're not lazy pips. These are really beautiful, and I'm okay with that. But please take a side. So either all fully scenic or all, just pips, but really beautiful pips. Moving on, the 6 of Wands, yeah, okay. And the 7 of Wands, again, The Eight of Wands, which is the only pip card in the entire RWS. You know, this one I'm okay with because it's actually okay. We do see these poppies, I believe these are poppy flowers. Nine of Wands, yeah. Ten of Wands, okay. Sorry, I know that it's very palpable, the disappointment in my voice, but honestly, I was really hoping for, I saw that suit of cups, I was like, it looks really good, it looks really beautiful, and the mages are just stunning, and the colors, even in the pips, they're really gorgeous. Okay, now I'm really worried because the suit of swords is my favorite suit, so I'm really worried that they deviated from the scenic ones as well. So Ace of Swords. Okay, we got a full illustration here. So the Two of Swords, beautiful, as a matter of fact. I like it. The character is not sitting down, but I like that it's standing. And also from the position of the feet, it also gives me the idea that she's trying to stand. When you're blindfolded, it's not easy to stand. You can lose your balance quite easily. So I like this because she's trying to grip, to try and stand without falling. I like it. I like it. Throw Swords, I can't say anything. I don't like it, but at the end of the day, this is very traditional, so I can't say anything. Lots of dripping blood. Four of Swords, and we go back. We go back to Pipish. Again, gorgeous, but I honestly don't see the sense of the Four of Swords in this card. I do see a little bit better in the Five of Swords with these, not the thunder, sorry, the lightning. I can get on board with this Five of Swords and the energy that surrounds this card, because I do see the lightning striking here. So from the center of these swords, it's okay. Like, it's not scenic at all, but I would say I would be okay to see this card. It's like I would be okay to see the Six of Cups depicted the way they did. Six of Swords, fully scenic, and Six of Swords, fully scenic, love it, absolutely love it. I love the fact that the characters completely by themselves, so generally speaking, there is a gondoliere, a person that is pushing the boat, but in this case, and generally speaking, there's this guy that is more pushing the boat, a panther, I think it's called, and also this character, and they're trying to protect. There's always a child as well, symbolizing, the fact that you're trying to protect the ones around you, but it's also reflecting on the inner child, so you're also trying to protect your own inner child. So I really love that interpretation of the usual way a Six of Swords is depicted on decks. I appreciate this one as well, because I can even tell the anxiety, the anguish and the anxiety of not only you have to go and you didn't necessarily want to go, but you have to do it by yourself. So I like it. Okay, Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords, honestly, I don't know. I see a skull here. I don't know if you can tell, this is a skull. And there's pentacles here. And the Eight of Swords. Okay, the Eight of Swords we can really work with, because I can tell that this person is in prison. I can tell that they feel the need to get out, but I can also tell that it's a prison of their own making because of the expression that you can gather from the eye. I mean, it might be a bit of a stretch. Okay, this Nine of Swords, I don't know if you can tell. It's very dark, but there's faces here, 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 and these are legs or limbs of some kind. I do get a vibe for the Nine of Swords in this card. I get it. I get it because of the faces. Fine, fair enough. And sorry, and the Ten of Swords, so there's 10 swords, purse in a heart. If I don't like 3 swords, purse in a heart, obviously I'm not on board with 10 swords, purse in a heart. But I do see that at least they made an effort. So Page of Swords, Knight of Swords. By the way, The court cards are gorgeous as well. I keep on saying this, but it's true. The artwork is amazing. The colors combination is just stunning. This is the Queen of Swords, which is my significator. I really love it. Really, really beautiful. It gives me 1930s vibe, doesn't it, with the haircut? Really, really nice. And this could be a wallpaper, for example. So I like it. And the King of Swords, and then, you know, the Ace of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, but that's okay because the Two of Pentacles can be a bit peepish. Three of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles. See, the Four of Pentacles, this doesn't really give me any reason to see the traditional meaning of the card here. Let me just check the guidebook because I also don't want to be negative. And please understand, this is not a negative review at all. I keep on saying that I love the artwork. I love this style. I love the colors. It's just that, and if it were just pips, I would love this deck. The only issue that I've got is that we have half the decks fully scenic and half of it as pips. And that's something that for my brain, it just doesn't really work. So this is the Four of Pentacles, we said. And we can find it here. Symbolism. The Four of Pentacles represents stability and material security in the physical world. That to me is, I would say, not entirely true. I see the Four of Pentacles as a stability that is consolidation, and you always need to be careful not to got caught in the moment for too long because you can easily move from consolidation to stagnation. So keeping your money under the mattress, it may work to save them from scams or stuff like that. By the way, don't get me started, sorry. Don't get me started on banks in Australia. My card got cloned again. And on top of everything now, they're not even blocking it. So they decide that there were a few transactions that they should update the card. Basically my bank gave my card details to companies in order for the transactions to go through without telling me. So, you know, when you think about putting all your money under a mattress and putting it in a bank, you know what? Mattress can be safer. It's just, I was really shocked. Apparently it is legal, but they should have obtained my consent first, which they didn't. But yeah, so I found out if you're in Australia, just check with your bank, because if your card gets cloned and you have to block it, and you feel safe because you blocked it, no, because if there is a company that they deem to be reliable, they will literally share the details of your new card that you don't even have yet, because it takes 2 weeks to ship it to you, so you don't even know the numbers of the card, you don't know the code at the back, you don't know the expiry date. They will just share it without telling you to companies that they think are okay. And let me tell you, because I know that it sounds like I'm complaining for nothing, but my card got cloned because obviously I was using it for transactions that were not protected. So how is it possible that my bank decided, even though my card had been cloned, to still share my details with these companies? And on top of everything, they were not Australian companies. So I would understand if it were one of the top 20 Australian companies is Telstra, which is, let's say, our telco, right? Our telecommunication company is Telstra, one of the biggest company in Australia. So Telstra was refused, right? But an obscure American company with which I had never had any transaction, but that they had my credit card because I started a free trial for 7 days, and you still have to give your credit card details for that, your debit card details for that. That was okay, and they shared the details with them. Can you please let me know if this, am I exaggerating in being absolutely outraged? Please let me know. It could be that I'm exaggerating. Maybe I don't know that this is very common and it's done everywhere. But as I repeat, I did not give my consent to do that. So it's anyway, moving on. Four of Pentacles, sorry. Apology about the venting here. The image shows 4 pentacles arranged in a structured, balanced layout, okay, emphasizing themes of control and ownership. Each pentacle is marked with one of the 4 elements and framed in separate spaces. Okay, let me just double check on that. I get that. Oh, yeah, of course, they're here. They're inside the pentacle here. Sorry, I hadn't seen them. So yeah, each pentacle is marked with one of the 4 elements and framed in separate spaces, symbolizing compartmentalization and protection and the desire to hold on to what has been gained. This card often reflects a heightened awareness of financial security and physical safety. See, I don't, this is not like the 6 of Cups that I can work with that. I don't think I can actually work with this 4 of Pentacles. But in any case, let's move on. 5 of Pentacles, 6, 7, beautiful, really gorgeous, really beautiful, but still not really showing you. 8 of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, again, absolutely gorgeous. The colors are magnificent. And the core cards are just absolutely superb. So I'm not going to spend any more time on this, but let me know in the comments below what you think. I am a little bit disappointed. This is just me. This is my personal opinion. I explained why during the walkthrough. So moving on to a different deck. So this is an oracle deck that I just got from a Facebook group. This is the Earthbound Oracle, and it has been released by the same creator. So it's the Skull Garden, I believe it's called. And there's also a tarot deck and also a Lenormand deck. I used to have the tarot deck. It was, let me put it this way. It was a bit too triggering for me because of the eyeballs. Does that make sense? And so, but the Earthbound Oracle is not like that. There's only one, if I recall correctly, only one card in which there's a big eyeball. Intuition, self. So I really like this deck. I've seen it used many times. And this is one of the decks that I compare to my Roots and Wings Oracle. Everyone was talking about that deck for such a long time, and then now no one is using it anymore. And I think it's nothing to do with the deck itself. It's just that there's so many options out there, and sometimes we forget that we have these decks in stock in our shelves. Now this is the only card I believe that does show an eyeball, and I actually really like it. I like the presence of the candles here, and the keywords with Illuminate is spot on. So this is, to me, looks very similar, not because of the art style, but it looks similar to the Roots and Wings Oracle because it's very direct. It's one of those decks that you can actually use by itself. You know, you can do a 1 card pull in the morning, like I often do, and then you can meditate on that meaning of that card. So really love this deck, and it's also a little bit creepy. So the reason why I got it is because I'm preparing right now to do a schedule of all of the videos for Spooktober. So the whole month of October will be dedicated to spooky decks, to scary decks. And it could be cute and creepy. It could be really dark decks. It could be decks that are used for shadow work and so on and so forth. I do believe that there's going to be a couple of Kickstarter campaigns that are going to be delivered in October. So of course there will be also the unboxing of these Kickstarter's campaign rewards, but generally speaking, it's going to be the whole month dedicated to Halloween and called Spooktober. So this will be a part of that. I like it. I really like it. And I really like the size. I like the cardstock. It's an indie deck. And I think it's still available, but I'm not entirely sure. I think that the Skull Garden has a Etsy shop. And so you might be able to check that out. As I said, there's a tarot deck. And there's also a Lenormand deck. So if you're more into tarot or Lenormand, you can check it out. So the next deck is a deck that let me show you first. So this is the Midnight Magic Tarot. And it's a mass market tarot deck that is based on mushrooms. it was the year 2023. I don't know if you remember, but every other deck was showing mushrooms. We had an indie mushroom deck, we had this mass market mushroom deck, we had an oracle deck with mushrooms by Rockpool. We had another couple of decks that were not necessarily oracle decks, but they were, let's say, showing the properties of a number of mushrooms that could have been used, because obviously by telling you these keywords related to a specific mushroom, you could have used it as an oracle deck. So we were bombarded by mushroom themed decks in 2023, and then that's it. Like, I do not recall of any other deck prior to 2023 based on mushrooms and after 2023. So I believe that there are these kind of guidelines that whether they are clear and they're well known amongst the publishers, I don't know, but they do follow these guidelines. So this one is by Sarah Richard, a tarot deck of mushrooms. This one is probably my favorite. I did have this deck, but what happened was that I actually bought it from a bookstore in Sydney, and when I opened it back at home, the cards were really badly warped to the point that they were dancing around whenever I was pulling them and putting them down on the mat. They would not lay flat, they would just literally move all the time, and it was kind of annoying. So I remember bringing it back, and that was the last one there, so I got store credit for it instead of replacing it with another deck. And then I completely forgot, because I forgot to order it. I forgot that I could easily get it from an online store, until I was thinking about folk horror. Okay, you guys know that I love horror, the horror genre, and you also know, if you do love your horror genre, you will know that there's different varieties, there's different categories. So folk horror, I would say my favorite author is probably Anya Alborn, but also Alma Katsu. There's a lot, but also in some cases there's elements of folk horror in Stephen Graham Jones, for example, although Stephen Graham Jones is more related to slasher. But I really, really love that genre. And I was thinking about, in preparation of a video, I was thinking about decks that could fit into the definition of folk horror. And I think that the Midnight Magic will fit. Not that it's a scary deck, because it's not. I mean, unless you have a thing against mushrooms, that I don't think it's I don't know if it exists. If you do, I'm sorry. So let's have a look at the deck. And this one, coincidentally, so this is perfect. So it was just one deck. I was unlucky to get the deck that was really warped. And I believe that it's probably due to transportation, you know, the humidity and stuff like that. This is so beautiful, very folkloric. That's why I was thinking about it for, you know, my folk horror decks video. Really, really beautiful. I don't recall whether I have shown this deck on my channel before. I probably did, but if you look for it, you'll probably see me going, oh, this is really warped. Oh, this is not laying flat on the table. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this. So when it comes to the representation, what we find information-wise on the card, you can see obviously the mushroom, and then there is the name in English and the name in Latin. So bleeding tooth fungus, that's the English name, and Hydnellum pecci, that's the Latin name, and that's the Two of Wands, obviously. Then what is interesting is that when you go to the guidebook, it will give you a reference on the reason why this particular mushroom has been chosen for this particular card, which is always something that I appreciate. So really, really beautiful, very atmospheric, I would say. And I'm thinking this one would probably pair nicely with the Deadly Apothecary Oracle. You know what? Let me just try. So this is the Oracle deck I was talking about, the Deadly Apothecary Oracle by the Priestess Moon, who I actually met at the Tarot conference in Perth in Western Australia. Really lovely lady. So let me just try it out, because you guys know me, I always have a couple of pairings in mind. My mind is always churning with pairings. and I want to try them out. So obviously the Deadly Apothecary is not just about mushrooms. Sorry, let me just move these ones out of the way a little bit, because obviously the tarot is thinner, sorry, it's narrower than the oracle. And do we fit? Yes, we fit. That's a bit, okay. So obviously there will be more plants here. We're talking about all sorts of deadly plants, poisonous plants, but there's also, because mushrooms can be deadly, there's also a couple of mushrooms in this deck. What I'm thinking that, you know, it could be a really good combo is also because of the cards having both tarot and oracle decks having black backgrounds, which actually really works to bring up the colors. Whenever you do have colors, they are brought up by that. Oh, there you go. So for example, we got a mushroom here, the Liberty Cap, with the Fairy Ring Champignon and the Amethyst Ziva, which is for the Seven of Swords. By the way, can I just say the Amethyst Ziva, it's just a spot-on name for the Seven of Swords, at least the traditional way to interpret that card, which is not my way to interpret the card, but it's really strong and powerful. And what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, because I think that I really like this pair. There's you know, there's mostly for aesthetics, I would say, like the aesthetics are very similar. The color palette is very similar. The fact that, you know, there is a central figure in full color for most of the cards on the Oracle deck, and also on the Tarot, you know, it makes them look like they definitely pair up nicely together. So really, really beautiful, actually. I really like it. Let me just try something else, because I have another Oracle deck I wanted to try with this one. And I just grabbed the closest one. It's the Seasons of the Witch Maybon Oracle. Obviously, you could probably try with any Season of the Witch Oracle. Let me just take these out. I don't know, I just have a feeling that these decks will actually go hand in hand together. You never know, because it's always something that I want to double check. And you guys know me, this is just my first impression, so I don't necessarily try this before showing you. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I move on to a different deck. So we do also have here, let me just level the decks. We do also have the let's say darkish kind of backgrounds, not in all of the cards, especially because of the Oracle deck. You know, it's slightly different. You do have darker backgrounds, and I would say though, in general, for most of the cards, the color palette is very similar. When it comes to the graphics, the art style, it's not obviously not the same. But it doesn't clash, you know what I mean? So I'm actually kind of happy to see them together. Let me just read this one to see if the bites are okay. So the Grieving card, which is one of the most powerful cards in all of the Season of the Witches oracles. Okay, Grieving. The chambers of your mourning are surrounded by nothingness. Emptiness waiting to be seen. How deep and powerful, almost paralyzingly so, is that? Every time, thankfully I haven't pulled this card often. I did pull it once. Ironically, I believe it was last year. I believe it was last year, and for, you know, the October season. And it always brings about a lot of emotions. Obviously, it's a very deep card, and you know, it's okay, because obviously these emotions that come to the surface, it means that I need to work with them somehow. But let me see. So, oh wow, okay, so it's between the Three of Swords, which I don't even think that I need to explain how this resonates so much with grieving. It's also because we do look at the Three of Swords as the overwhelm of the mind, if you read numerologically, and obviously, if you read tradition, you will see this pierced heart. So there is this heartbreak that goes hand in hand with grieving, because grieving is nothing if a heartbreak. And then we got the hangman, which also shows you, in a way, the sacrifice of this grieving. So there's a number of ways in which to process grief. And one of them that I found for myself, very personally, to be working is just accepting that it was a tragedy to lose someone I love, accepting the sense of the tragedy, accepting that it's a sacrifice, because obviously you find yourself in a situation where you're kind of hanging upside down. You do not have any grasp with the reality any longer, especially at the beginning. And the only way to accept that is to accept that, yes, indeed, you have been through a tragedy, and accepting that is the first step to move on. So I'm liking this. I'm really liking also the vibes. I don't know whether it was just a one-off in the sense that it was obviously fortunate, but I really like these two together. I think that it really works. So I'm really happy, because this means that this Spooktober season I will be able to show you the ways in which I use these decks. So moving on to the next one. I'm so excited about the next one. I really didn't think that I would have been able to get this deck. This is the Horror Tarot by Todd Alcott. Now, let me explain the reason why I was despairing about getting this deck. So you can find this deck in Todd's shop. I believe there's also a listing on Etsy, or maybe an actual website for this deck. However, the shipping costs to Australia have always been around 60 to 70 Australian dollars, and the deck is only 50. So, you know, no one was buying it in Australia unless someone was importing it and then reselling it, which had been the case for a while. But it was a desperate endeavor, and I remember posting a video in which I thought it was really sweet, because she was like, you know, if you want, I can actually, she's coming to Australia in December. It was like, I can buy it for you and then I can send it to you, which is, you know, it's not a problem. And I was like, yes, please, because, you know, I don't want to spend $70 for shipping on a $50 deck. Then what happened was that one day I was actually browsing through Amazon UK. And guess what? You can get it from Amazon UK. And because Amazon Australia has a deal with Amazon UK, as in there's no shipping if you're a Prime member, I got it with free shipping. So instead of $70 shipping, free shipping. The cost of the deck was a bit higher. It wasn't what I would have paid had I bought it from the website of the creator, but it's not $120. I believe I paid $64. I'm not entirely sure, but it was around that money. And considering that this is an indie deck, there's decks published by mass market publishers that are priced at $80, $90, even $100 that I've seen recently. Honestly, spending $64 for an indie deck with free shipping, it came here in, I don't know, 2 weeks. I am stoked. I'm really excited about this. This is one of the 3 decks by the same creator. The latest one is about sci-fi, and I haven't seen it on the creator's shop on Amazon UK. But if you know they sell it there, I would definitely get that one as well. And the other one, the very first one, is called the Pulp Tarot, with, you know, pulp inspired images. But the one that I wanted is this one. I've always wanted this one because of the theme. Obviously, we're talking about horror. Come on. This is my jam. It's just me. I feel alive when Halloween comes. And for me, Halloween should go on for the whole month of October and also the whole month of November. Because then after, when we get into December, we can focus on Christmas. But I really want Halloween to go on forever if I could. I know that in the US, you guys are supposed to have a shop which is actually called Halloween Forever. I was just wondering, could you please let me know if that means it's just the name of the shop, or is it called Halloween Forever because it's open year round? Because that would be so cool. Anyway, so this is the Horror Tarot. This is based on horror movies. I have another couple of decks. I've got the Universal Monsters Tarot with actual monsters from Universal Studios, and then I've got the Monsters Horror Oracle, which is also based on horror movies, and then I've got another deck based on Tarocchi Gialli, so the yellow tarot, which is an indie deck though, by Chain Assembly, and that is based or inspired, more than based, on posters from horror movies, Italian horror movies from the 60s and the 70s by Mario Bava, Dario Argento, and so on and so forth. So I do have a collection, a capsule collection here in my hands, but I was missing this one, and so let's have a look. Really cool. Oh, look at that. I like it so much, you know, the blood spatter. Have you guys watched the latest Dexter? Because I used to love Dexter so much, and then, you know, it finished and then it started again, and so I want to watch the latest one, but I forgot some of the things that happened in the original season, so I'm rewatching the original season. So it comes with an instruction book. This is from 2023. So the website is the Unemployed Philosopher's Guide, philosophersguide.com, based in Brooklyn, New York. See, I don't know why then there will be, it would be available with free shipping from Amazon UK and not Amazon US. But in any case, I'm not complaining, I got it, so I'm really super duper happy about it. Introduction, of course, the world is a scary place, there are mortal dangers everywhere, there are madmen who rule nations, madmen who rule corporations, and madmen who rule everyday families. Wow, that's really a strong start, I would say, really a strong start. What have we got? So it does go into the details here. A brief history of Horror Tarot Studios. Horror Tarot Studios have been in existence almost as long as film itself. The studio was founded in 1917 by filmmaker and spiritualist Charles Brimmer, who started out making short films on the subject of the tarot and other occult phenomena, including real seances that he attended with his sister, a medium who went by the pukish name Madame Clairvoyante. I see what you're doing there. Okay, Brimmer's Turila, The Devil Meets Temperance, 1920, now lost, starred a young Pauline Pruitt, who earlier that year had a surprise hit with John R. Warwick's Western Wagon Train Jezebel. I love these kind of introductions because it is a proper storytelling. You know what I mean? We are looking at the world building, and I think that not everyone is good at world building. So I remember I used to be a mentor to writers here in Sydney. I like it that we've got the references for the major arcanas, but not for the minor arcana. It's okay, I don't mind, it's fine. So I used to be a mentor to writers in the Sydney area. And I remember this guy that had been working on a sci-fi book for 9 years. And he'd gone through a dozen different drafts, and he was still going on about the world building, and he was still changing it. And I thought to myself, you know, at a certain point you really have to stop, because otherwise if you keep on chasing perfection, you may end up never publishing. And it was actually a great book. I really liked it. It's just this person didn't have the confidence to present his work to an agent or you know, and it was a pity because world building was really excellent in that book. And so every time now that I'm reading a book, I actually pay attention to world building. Is it done the right way? Is it, you know, sometimes it's boring. If you talk about highbrow sci-fi, for example, there is a book that by one of my favorite authors, Dan Simmons. Dan Simmons' books, I love his horror books, like for example Carrion Comfort and Summer of Sons. That Summer of Sons is one of my favorite books of all time. But Hyperion, I just can't get into it, guys. And I know it's his favorite book, but I just can't get into it. So apologies for the long introduction, but I love talking about horror. And this is the text, so let's have a look. Loving the acid green on the backs as well. Very evocative, very thematic. And do I need to zoom in? No, we're fine. So Unfortunately, I have to say I do. So there's a lot of information here. I have to say, unfortunately, I cannot read it. Horror Tarot presents Major Arcana card on the Fool, a symbol of enthusiastic innocence. You are beginning a vast journey. Okay, this I actually have the good glasses, the good reading glasses. The problem that I have is the font being too small, but also being in white against a red background. It doesn't create a lot of contrast, and it's rather difficult for me to read it. But I'm hoping that this will be exactly the same that I will be able to find in the guidebook. For example, in here, it's even smaller. The Magician is a symbol of manifestation and unlimited potential. So I love the fact that we can read about the card on the cards themselves. Okay, the High Priestess doesn't have anything. The Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant. So this one is very clear, for example. The Hierophant is a symbol of tradition, conformity, power structures, religious and formal doctrines, also known as the teacher or the Pope. So I'm very much okay with the black with the cream color background. The Lovers, the Chariot. Nothing can stop the Chariot. The Strength card and the Hermit. I really like this. I really like this. I will probably spend a really great time looking into these images and try and recollect what movies they may have been inspired by. Temperance card, the Devil, of course, Sex Obsession Addiction, Enslavement, all the things that make life worth living. Love it, absolutely love it. And the Tower, wow. The Star card, really gorgeous. She came to Earth driven by an insatiable desire to continue the cycle of fertility. Gorgeous. Don't know if I associate fertility with the star. I do associate it with the moon because the moon is associated with the cycle. But I don't know. It's interesting. And the 18th card in the Major Arcana is the Moon with the Werewolf, and I can't read it. I can read red with a black background. Such a pity. This one is easier. Nothing burns hotter than the sun. Judgment. Oh, look at this card. It's so beautiful. Wow, that's very evocative as well. It's a bit dark. I don't know if you can see through the lens. And the World, the end is here. And then we're starting with the Suit of Wands. So it's fully scenic, I believe. Yes, it's fully scenic. This one looks like Nosferatu. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Gojira. Beautiful. This is the card number 6. So 6 of Wands, victory at what costs? So I like it because it gives me the idea of looking at the 6 of Wands in a very similar position to the meaning to the 5 of Swords. At what cost? So you had to cheat, basically. It was a really bad situation. I like it. I like the way in which this is being presented. Frankenstein, of course, and this is probably a sci-fi horror. And there's a creature here. Is this the Elephant Man? Maybe. This is the Exorcist. This is clearly. And this looks like The Shining. Maybe, I don't know, the Santa Muerte looks like it, but I could be wrong. So obviously there's a few cards that are easy for me to immediately associate with the movie they've been inspired by. Look at this 5 of Cups, how beautiful this is. This is really gorgeous. And the 6 of Cups. See, this is well done. This is a great 6 of Cups because there's kids. You know, really well done. The 7 of Cups. So I don't want to show all of the cards, otherwise we're gonna stay here forever, and I still have another deck to show you. But let me just go through the Suit of Swords. Yeah, loving it, loving it. Okay, not loving it, but I understand it. Yeah, perfect, absolutely. And the 5 of Swords is a brutal tale of victory in the tradition. Wow, very powerful. And the 6 of Swords, and the 7, 8 of Swords, perfect. 9 of Swords, very intense. Very, very intense 10 of Swords. Let me just jump into the Queen of Swords. I like this Queen of Swords, look at that. An unbiased tale of independence in the tradition. Yeah, I'm liking it, and I agree. So the Queen of Swords is probably not the first keyword that I think about when I visualize the Queen of Swords, but independence is right there, up to the probably top 5. And then Suit of Pentacles. Loving it, absolutely gorgeous. This is really beautiful. It's an amazing effort. This has been really well thought. You can tell that the creator knows tarot, but they also know their horror genre, and they probably appreciate it and they like it and enjoy it like I do. So I'm loving this deck. I'm thinking about doing a comparison between the other horror movies themed decks. That could be really, really cool. But let's just move on to the last deck that I wanted to show you today. And I'm going to have to zoom out. So let me just show you, and it's heavy as well. So yeah, I definitely have to zoom out, sorry. So this is the mega version of the Villains Tarot. And this is the mega version, at least it's new, at least to Australia, it's new. They started maybe a year and a half ago with Buffy. I'm talking about Inside Edition, sorry. So they started with Buffy, and Buffy Tarot was released as a mega version as well. Then they moved on to, I believe, the Nightmare Before Christmas, then Hocus Pocus. This is, and there's also the Labyrinth Tarot, and this is one of the latest ones that has been published as a mega deck, mega size tarot deck. So I'm really curious because there's also going to be a really beautiful bag. So let me just unwrap this first. Okay, so 2-part box, very stiff, I have to say. Yeah, it's coming up. There you go. And yes, indeed, we do have this really beautiful bag, and the cards are already inside, and I believe there might be a guidebook inside as well, or not. Yes, there is a guidebook inside. So this is the bag, really, really beautiful. I love this, this color. I would say it's acid green, which is really in theme with oh, there's also a card holder. Oh, there you go. There's also a card holder, obviously as big as the cards are, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. I'm liking this one very much as well. But let's just have a look. Let me see if I can open it without damaging the cards, which I would never want to do. So these are obviously the cards, and as I said, there is a guidebook here as well. And by the way, I seem to remember, I do not have the smaller size of this deck, but I seem to remember by many tarot tubers that this is probably one of the better ones from Insight Editions, because they're supposed to be, let's say, fully scenic minors. So I'm you know, whenever I buy an Insight Editions deck, I lower my expectations so much that at least I don't get upset. But this is supposed to be a good one. So let's just get into it, because I really want to see the cards. And these are so big, so I don't think I'll ever be able to handle this deck. I mean, shuffling is probably going to be done like this. But, you know, at least we got so much real estate that we can really see the cards properly. So the full, beautiful, I love this acid green, Maleficent. I do not know all of the villains. Oh, come on. I love the tiger. Is that the Jungle Book, I believe? I don't know all the names of the villains. But I love the fact that it's a deck about Cruella, of course. I love the fact that this is a deck about villains, you know, and not about the heroes of the movies. I love that, because the villains are incredibly important in a story. And if the villain is boring, if the villain is not scary, if the villain doesn't make you think, then obviously you don't bond as much with the story. The Hanged One, Death, beautiful. Temperance, the Devil, of course, and the Tower, of course, the Mirror. The mirror for the Star card. That's really interesting. So let me just have a quick look at what the guidebook says, because I honestly, I don't know. I mean, I could be on board if there's a really good reason. The star, okay. Just as the Queen's magic mirror always responds honestly to any question asked, the star represents clarity, hope, and the power of truth. Clarity with the mirror, I get it. Yes, yes, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I can be on board with that. See, I just need to double check and then I'm fine with it. It's not something I would have gone immediately to the meaning, but I do recognize it and I appreciate it. The Sun and Judgment, of course, the Queen from Alice in Wonderland, and the World card. And then, okay, so we start from the core cards. Beautiful, by the way, the Queen of Wands, Knight of Wands, and the Page. And of course now we are looking at the minors. Okay, we can, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay, that's okay. The, you know, what's cooking in the cauldron, you know, the Three of Wands, expanding your horizon, but also expecting the ships to come back to you. There's something there, I can see that. And the Four of Wands, yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that too. And the Five of Wands, maybe, I mean, this is obviously the toxic apple or the poisoned apple, so yeah, okay. The Six of Wands, yeah. Seven of Wands. And the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands, as I said, is the one card in the full RWS deck that is peepish, so I'm okay with that. The Nine of Wands. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. The exhaustion, but also, you know, going up the steps here and not having the crown is still to touch the head. So it's still something that needs to be completed. So, ooh, okay. And the Ten of Wands. Yeah, great. And then let's have a look at the Suit of Coins. I'm not going to show all of them, but I am quite happy. I did hear that this deck was actually well done. So I'm happy to confirm that I actually really like it. And the King of Swords, let me just see the Queen of Swords. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. I'm okay with that. Gorgeous Page of Swords, obviously. Then the Two of Swords. Let me just quickly look at the Three of Swords. Yeah, okay, very, very traditional. That's fine. Ooh, I love this Four of Swords. And the Five even. Yeah, no, okay. Look, I'm happy. You see, it doesn't really take that much to make me happy. Just as I was saying, as I was mentioning earlier for the Psyche, the Mystic Psyche Tarot, it is gorgeous. The color palette is just amazing and the art style is very rich. But what bothers me is the combination of peepish minors and fully cynic minors in the same deck. You know, it's something that we always criticize about Insight Edition decks, and obviously I would be a hypocrite if I said that just because that deck is not published by Insight Edition but is published by Rockpool, I would have a different idea. I stick to what I'm saying. But in any case, so these are all the decks that I wanted to show you today. I am very excited because obviously some of these decks, you will see them again into the month of Spooktober, because we're going to talk about scary, creepy but cute, really dark and shadow works kind of decks, and it's going to be so much fun. But thank you so much for watching and I will see you the next time. Bye!